Look, if you've been playing Age of Empires 2 for a while, you know that there are certain tactics and strategies that can be really effective in the right situations, but completely useless or even harmful in the wrong ones. Nearly any choice you can make in this game comes with its pros, its cons, and its dangers. Strategies nearly always come with a, well, it depends on this or that disclaimer to them. There are two sides to every coin, and one of the coins with the greatest currency in Age of Empires 2 is rushing. On the one hand, I love rushing. Rushing your opponent means that you're fighting on his turf, threatening his villagers, and overall dictating the tempo of the game on your terms. But on the other hand, rushing your opponent costs precious early resources, and even more importantly, puts a strain on your own mental concentration. There's a pretty famous meme in T90's community about this, which basically spotlights that it's not worth rushing your opponent and shutting down his economy for 2 minutes if you forget to produce back in your own economy for 4 minutes. So rushes are a double-edged sword and can just as easily hurt you as help if you're not careful. I just had a game where my opponent demonstrated exactly this issue and highlights a principle that I'm always talking about. Stay calm and focused. And so I thought this would be a fun game to share. We find ourselves on Arabia. I'm in the blue playing as the Lithuanians, and my opponent in the red is playing as the Magyar. Now, I have no idea what it is. It's got to be luck, pure coincidence, but it seems like every time I play the Lithuanians, I go up against the Magyars. I randomed into Lithuanians. I didn't even pick them. But for some reason, this is a classic matchup, a rivalry between these two civs. It's always Lithuanians versus Magyar, Magyar versus Lithuanians. I don't know what it is, but I've run into this matchup quite a few times. And so I know it pretty well, and it doesn't surprise me. They are both strong civilizations, great cavalry civilizations. They both have excellent knights. The main difference between the two, if I had to highlight one, would be in the timing of the two civs, the timings of their strengths. Magyars are very good in the early game. They have maybe the best scout rush in the game. Why? Well, one, their scouts are cheaper, so it doesn't cost as much food to train a couple of knights and throw them at your opponent. But on top of that, you also get the melee attack upgrades immediately whenever you hit the next age. So, as soon as you hit the feudal age, you get the +1 attack on forging, and that makes your scout rush way better at killing enemy villagers. Normally, for any other civ to do a scout rush and to take advantage of that forging upgrade, you need to wait to hit the feudal age, then build the blacksmith, and then put in the food to research forging, and then wait for the forging tech to finally research, and then you're good to go, and your scout rush will have that additional +1 attack with each and every hit, right? The Magyar get it immediately. So they have, again, one of the best scout rushes in the game, and pretty strong knights on top of that. The Lithuanians are not nearly as effective with the early game, although they do have some early game options. They start the game with an additional 150 food, so some people like to translate that into a drush. They do have a pretty effective drush if you've learned that skill, and you can take that extra food and you can do a scout rush. You can do different things, but really the Lithuanians' main strength, as I lose my scout, guys, do what I say, not what I do. Don't lose your scout. This was the moment when this happened. If I was already thinking about not doing a rush on my opponent, losing my scout kind of convinced me, yeah, let's not do a rush this time, right? The Lithuanians, their strength really comes into play in the late game. They have the potential for the best knights in the game, period. Better than the Franks, better than the Sicilians, better than the Teutons, better than anyone. The Franks have the potential for the best knights in the game. Why? Because of their bonus where their knights gain +1 attack with every relic they control. So, yes, you do need to research forging in order to get that +1 attack, like the Magyar get for free. But then after you've researched forging, you can get another +1 attack for each and every relic you control. And if you're able to pick up 3 relics, 4 relics, 5 relics, there is no knight in the game that is stronger than your knights. So, you have a really strong late game. And that's kind of the way that this matchup is going to pan out. Cabello wants to take advantage of the early Magyar rush. Whenever I see Magyar, that's typically what I think that's why I'm walling up here, is I suspect if I'm fighting Magyar, they're probably going to rush me. So let's get the walls up. Now this is where I make a mistake. And it's important when watching your games, even the games that you win, to look at where you make mistakes and how you can improve. This is one of those situations. On the south side, I had 3 different villagers getting the walls up. And I'm thinking the game is won or lost on whether I can get these walls up in time. So the south side looks really good, but on the north side, I had 1 villager working on this wall. And I did not get the wall up in time. She's getting pushed away by the knight, by the scout here, and I nearly lost her. Now, fortunately, she makes it out in time, and I averted catastrophe. But if this knight, if this scout here was able to loop around and get there just a little bit faster, that could have been devastating, right? So fortunately, I get the walls up, and now Cabello's in an awkward situation. You've got 1 scout on the inside, 2 scouts now on the outside. What do you do here? If you find yourself in Cabello's shoes, you're sort of stuck in one of 2 possibilities. The strategy I would typically take, and I'm not saying this is the right call, I'm just saying it's how I typically play it, is, okay, my rush didn't work out, I tried it, now I need to pivot into thinking about the mid game and the late game. I need to try to focus in on Castle Age, right? Or you can double down and really try to get some damage in the Feudal Age. And if you play that right, even if the initial rush was not as successful as you wanted, that can be devastating. So, we'll have to see how Cabello plays this. Now, like I said at the beginning of this video, the danger with a rush is not getting distracted yourself. And Cabello's had to do a lot of moving around with the scouts in order to keep them from dying, and he sees the pikeman or the spearman and he decides to run away, right? But meanwhile, back at home, his town center is idling. He's up to 1.5 minutes of idle TC time, and that number is just going to grow larger and larger. So keep an eye on the idle TC time. It's not flashy. We're not getting sounds whenever the TC isn't being worked on. But this number right here, I said this a lot during the Noob Cup, I say this a lot whenever I cast games, this number often makes or breaks a game. You win or lose based on the effectiveness of your economy. More often than not, that's how it works. All right, scouts are running around trying to find, more of the map, I suppose. Let's take a look here. Yeah. And I think, considering Cabello can't really do damage here, that's a pretty good call, Get more of the map. Figure out where the relics are. If you are playing against the Lithuanians, realize that at some point, the Lithuanian player is going to want to get those relics and take advantage of their knight potential. They may not start the game. Some Lithuanian players will hit the Castle Age and immediately drop down a monastery and collect the relics. That's dangerous if there's no military to support it. Some Lithuanian players will start the game with knights and try to win the battle with regular knights, and then pick up the relics to make them even stronger. And then some Lithuanians will open with archers or something unexpected and wait to finally transition into their powerful knights and get the relics and all that, right? But either way, if you're playing against them, you can shut down the whole possibility of that bonus by getting the relics yourself. And that's pretty nice. Now, what we see here, this was a strategy that surprised me, and I like it. I like what Cabello's trying here, which is getting out a couple of archers. I don't think Cabello wants to go into full-on archer. I think what Cabello is doing is getting out a few archers in order to support the scouts to make sure that the wall goes down, and then the scouts could do what they've been trying to do this whole time, raid my economy, get Vil kills, and shut me down. Again, while all this is going on, notice out of TC time. 3 minutes for Cabello, 4 seconds for me. And again, I've been in Cabello's shoes. This game, so far, is sort of panning out the way I'd want, you know, and I've got a pretty good game, IWTC-wise. So, but I've been there. I've been in the situation where I've been doing the raiding, and yeah, it happens. And that's why I'm making this video. So here's what I'm doing. I'm wanting to create these little sidewalls to funnel my opponent into the town center. I'm wanting to say, okay, if you want to fight me, you can get in, but you gotta keep your archers at home, because, you know, they'll get blown up by the TC. If you try to come in, like if these walls weren't there, then they could just loop around and get into the back of my economy, and it'd be devastating. But a couple of spearmen will take care of these few archers. They'll knock out the scout. I accidentally sent a villager alongside the spearmen, so that's a mistake. But 1 Vil down. Not the end of the world. All right. I've hit the Castle Age. And this is one of the key moments of any game, is the first player to hit Castle Age has the ability to either pump out the first knights or upgrade their archers into crossbowmen. And that is a huge power spike. Just a few knights can completely wipe a feudal age army. Right? And that's sort of what I'm thinking here. Meanwhile, I've got a second town center going in the back. Cabello's got the same idea, and interestingly, he decides to build a TC way out in the distance, securing that gold out there, and I think that's a little different from what I would expect, but I think it has its virtues. Yeah, here we go. These archers all go down. And I feel like this is the moment for some revenge, you know? Now it's my turn to put the pressure on him. Here we go. 5 knights. And, you know, again, because he hit the Castle Age, he gets that level 2, you know, iron casting tech for free. So he's got the melee attack right out of the gate. But what he doesn't have... Oh, look at this. This is so sad. There was a hole in the wall right here. That's so hard to see. Always double check your walls, you know? So he loses a couple of Vils. Now he's trying to raid me at the same time, but I've got more knights back in my own base. And monks coming out. I love monks. I love monks. Why? For moments like this. Right now I have 8 army to his 6. Boom. 9 army to his 5. Your resources, your time, your effort, it's mine now. Yoink. And so I'm able to more or less fight off this raid of his while simultaneously getting Vil kills and putting the pressure on him. From 9 to 6, now I'm at 10 to 4. Boom. I love monks. I've only started using monks in the last couple of months effectively like this, and it's worked. I'm in love with them. You're able to get conversions off on knights, or, you know, with redemption, things like onagers, mangonels, that sort of thing. Those sort of key power units. That was yours, well, it's mine now. And then you're able to heal up your army. It's great. All right, here's a big fight. Now, he's got the attack upgrades automatically, but I have the feudal age attack and the feudal age armor, and he doesn't have that. So I'm putting the pressure on him, and meanwhile, in the background, there he is. There's the monk going out to get the first relic. And if Cabello is not careful, I could have some really solid knights here in the long run. Now, he is leaning into his strengths. Again, the Magyars still have very good knights. That's the typical Magyar play, and he wants to go into it. Right now, the numbers are more or less even. I've got 7 army to his 6. Well, here, it's 4 to 5. So he actually has the numbers advantage. And I'm focused on raiding and trying to get as many Vil kills as possible. So he's actually going to win this fight for sure. Yep. Yep. So, he's got a lot of knights. Take a note, there is a hole in the wall right there. And so does Cabello. He notices that. Goes in and throws up a stone wall. I don't think he realizes there might actually be another hole between the stable and this house. All right. Now, he's got the military. He's got the option. And what is he going to do? Now, I do love this. Cabello is going to try to put the pressure back on me. This is how I like to play Age of Empires, and I have a lot of respect when players try to take the initiative, put the pressure on your opponent. It's a good move. It can be hard, but it's a good move. Now, he's got 7 knights. If he's able to break in, this is a little dangerous. I happen to have a monk already, so I just drop the relic, start the conversion, and that scares him off. Thank goodness, because I think if he just broke in, that could be really, really damaging to me. There we go, more knights, trying to build up my own numbers. And I've got 3 monks currently. If all 3 can get a conversion, these 7 knights become 4, and my 4 knights become 7. Conversion. And does the monk make it out? No, monk dies. All right. But right now, it just suddenly became an even fight. You know, my 7 knights to his 6. And that's even before these monks come into play. Select your monks individually, pick different targets, try to choose units that have full health. Don't target the units that you're attacking at the same time, because you want to grab the strongest knights, not the weaker knights. So at this point, thank you, Cabello, for the contribution to the Iron Kaiser Conquest Fund. I now have 10 knights, and he's back at home having to start over from ground zero. And again, I haven't highlighted it recently. I've picked up some idle TC time. I'm over here at 5.5 minutes. My opponent is at 11.5 minutes. And a huge part of that is just the mental pressure that comes with trying to rush, trying to raid, attack, and, work on your eco at home at the same time. It's hard. This right here is one of the skills that you just build over time, over and over and over again in Age of Empires. It's a skill I'm still working on. I'm by no means the best at. I'm at 5.5 minutes, which I think at better elos would be pretty embarrassing as well. But in this case, it's working out. And again, I had very weak knights, using the monks to go ahead and heal them up. What I like to do, I could have just rushed to the Imperial Age, but I think it's more useful to get up a big army of my own and then put the pressure back on him. It feels like we're playing tennis. He's sending a volley at me, I'm sending a volley back at him, back and forth, back and forth. But now, the numbers are really on my side, and I have 2 relics. 2 relics in the monastery. So my knights have +3 attack. He only has +2, and that's because I have not yet picked up the Castle Age attack upgrade. Oh no, and once again, a hole in the wall that Cabello does not realize, and that does not help. That does not help the situation at all. Yeah, ouch. Ouch. So at this point, At this point, what do you do if you're Cabello? I mean, you have how many knights again? This is 13 knights in your economy, right? Lithuanian knights. So I've already got one more attack than I would normally have. I'm researching iron casting now, so that'll make it 2 more. And then my monk here. My monk is about to pick up this relic, and that'll make it +3. This is tough to be in. You know, I mean, he's producing knights to try to match my knights, but at this point, you're not going to get knights better than the Lithuanian knights, you know. Here we go, more Vil kills. And the difference between my opponent and I, or I shouldn't even put it that way. I mean, I'm making these mistakes too, but I'm not making them as badly. Is while all of this is going on, and my camera's here, and I'm showing you guys, look at all the death and destruction, in the background, I'm continuing to produce from both town centers. I'm keeping the economy going. And that's why you see, you know, such a big Vil difference, right? I mean, I've got a bunch of Vil kills. At this point, I've killed 10 more Vils than he has. So that's a part of this difference, but way more than that is just keeping the town centers going. So here we go. Yeah, big fight taking place here. I've got all the blacksmith techs and, you know, the extra relics on top of that. I think even though he's got 2 more knights, this is a battle I might win. Or at least it's going to be way closer than it should be. Yeah, no, don't listen to me. Look at this. All right, he's still got 7 knights. So that's good. That's not bad for him. But I have 9 more at home. I'm about to hit Imperial Age, get the Imperial Age Blacksmith Techs, Cavalier, and he's going to be completely outmatched. Then the 3rd relic goes in. So now they've got +3. Cabello calls the GG. I mean, he recognizes... At this point, man, you're up 30 Vils. Not that he'd know that, but you have a villager advantage, most likely. You've raided me effectively. You've got the better knights. You're in a tough position as the Magyar, and Cabello taps out. So I thought this was a fun game to really demonstrate an important principle in Age of Empires 2, and this is one that, you know, I've learned the hard way plenty myself. It is, you know, when you're raiding, be careful about your own economy at home. Keep your own eco going. Stay focused on home base at the same time as you are raiding and attacking your opponent. You know, that's something that is really important. And something I didn't even talk about in this match, but this was yet another example of a situation where when I lost my scout early on, the scoreboard blew up in Cabello's favor. You know, and it was, again, one of those situations where if you don't know the scoreboard, it can be a little scary, but stay calm, stay focused, keep on your eco, think about your long-term game plan, and, you know, you can pull it around. And these early fights and the early pressure may not be the end of the world. As in this case, it worked out for me. I thought this was a fun one. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you would, like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'd appreciate it. And share with me your favorite rush strategies and your favorite way of defending against rushes. I think that maybe is even more important to talk about than the rushes themselves. I think we all know the men-at-arms rush, the scout rush, the archer rush. But how do you defend against those attacks? Let me know in the comments what you think. For now, this is the Iron Kaiser, signing out.